boy, oh boy. What a week of crazy crap. Again, every week I'm dumbfounded. You know, I stay in a perpetual state of shock. And I know this is how I start this show every time, but it's the reason I'm doing this show. The reason that I've ever started even doing social media is because I am amazed at how bad people are treating other people, basically.
Or our government is treating us.
Well, I consider them to be people. I mean, the government's ran by humans.
Are they? I hear
Are
they're
they? I don't
lizard
know.
people. I hear they're lizard people. But
I don't know.
They're like, well, we technically are people until we go behind closed doors and we have our World Economic Forum, and then all you can see is...
Where should we throw the children after we eat them?
Oh, it's sad because it may be true. I don't know. I remember the time that Steve Harvey was on his show and the lady was like, yeah, this is actually my aging cream. And she was rubbing it on his hands and he was like, wow.
The foreskin.
Yes. And he was like, what's on this or whatever. And she was like, foreskin of babies. And he was just like,
the way he looked at her.
What?
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
It said a lot. Just the look alone, no words needed.
Imagine, you know, I didn't know this, by the way, so let's just talk about this for a second. The foreskin is the most sensitive part of a male's reproductive organ.
Yes.
They cut it off.
I know. I don't know why.
And, you know, in certain religions, they cut off the women's CLIT.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we look at that and we go, genital mutilation, this is wrong. You know what I mean? Obviously it's wrong. You know what I mean? But we simply continue to do it to young children when it's not medically necessary at all, you know? And yeah. Well, so anyway.
Damar Hamlin.
Yeah. So
speaking of penises.
Damar Hamlin is.
We're just kidding.
I don't know what jacket this guy had on at that thing where it had like a Jesus with like a weird face. It was like a cartoon beat up face. It was so weird. You know, I don't know. Maybe he's part of the squad or whatever. But I think before we even jump into everything, we just got to give everybody a backstory. Okay. This guy falls down under cardiac arrest in the middle of the field he's a Buffalo Bills football player. Everybody was like, oh my God, this is probably because of the Everybody and their mother was like, no, it's not because of that. You guys are ridiculous. He got hit right in the chest with that other guy's helmet, and that caused chorioitis or whatever the heck. And what that basically means is it's something that happens, generally speaking, to children because they have a very thin chest wall. And so that's why you see little kids that are pitchers in baseball, they'll wear a chest plate right there because if they take a baseball to the heart, it might hurt them. It's like a 1% chance. But when you're an adult who's 24 years old, which Damar Hamlin is, and very athletic, and obviously you have muscle and everything blocking it, and a shoulder pad that clearly goes over that, it's very unlikely that would be what happened. But the news ran with that story, essentially. The fact checkers ran with that story, essentially. I had to get rid of videos on my feed because they got fact checked because they said that I was misleading about something when really it seems like they might have been misleading.
Right.
Why don't you pull this video up real quick for everybody when Damar Hamlin finally gets a chance to clear the air and let everybody know this certainly was not from the okay? Let's watch it.
The question on so many minds, what caused his heart to stop beating?
You're 24, peak physical condition, could run circles around me right now. How did doctors describe what happened to you?
That's something I want to stay away from.
I know from my experience.
That's something I want to stay away from. Had a massive opportunity right there to just put everybody to rest. Hey, look. Oh, is this still going? Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, so look, it's still, you know, hey, this opportunity for you to just get all those conspiracy theorists to shut up and just let them know, like, it was obviously not that, right? Why don't you just let us know that that's what it is? Oh, yeah, man, it was like, I got hit right in the thing. It was bad for a little while. Everything was fine. It had nothing to do with you know, that would have been an acceptable answer if that was the case.
He could have beat around the bush, too. He could have said, oh, you know, everybody's making it like a politician. They could have coached him how to do it. A politician would say, you know, everyone's making a big deal out of this, and I know some people have suffered, but you know how they get away and never actually really answer the question, but they give a very good, very nice.
But injuries
statement.
are part of like a normal experience in football.
Yeah.
You know, you have weird occasions biologically. Sometimes they happen, and we're all getting used to it. You know what I mean, Michael? Well, the other thing I was thinking the other day was I was watching this different player. You know, change the subject right afterwards, not answer it, but he's straight up. What happened? And he's debating in his head. Obviously,
The pause.
he's going.
That was uncomfortably long.
I knew that I should say something because his doctors have to be like.
But the NFL is like, it's not that, right? Because we forced everyone to get it, right, guys? It's not that, is it? You like your $45 million a year, don't you, guys?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what I think they're like, and they're also to their doctors because NFL has their own doctors too, and those are on the payroll. You like that nice job, don't you? I wouldn't put that on the paperwork, or
Yeah, I remember Aaron Rodgers saying that he went to those doctors with his own doctors and proved that they were wrong, and they were like, "Well, that's not what the literature we have says," and he was like, "Oh, I'm talking to a wall. You don't even know, and so that's when he realized they were worthless in their pursuit of the truth.
They really came after him too for having his own brain.
Well, so Damar Hamlin essentially he won't say that it's not that, which everybody was expecting, by the way, for him to just go ahead and clear the air on this. Literally, we've been waiting for this the whole time for him to just to be like, "Oh, it's not that," and he wouldn't say it. So I do give props to him for not bullshitting anybody.
And
just
I like that pause for the effect of like it makes everyone who probably like is on the fence or soft on it and like it sounds conspiratorial, but I don't know, something's kind of not adding up, but they won't say it. That pause was so powerful in my opinion, with not being able to probably say anything based on an NDA.
Right. And maybe we're not saying that we definitely know what happened to Damar Hamlin. I'm not saying that.
This is all
I'm just saying that he won't simply say that it wasn't that. And you can't get mad at me for assuming that based on what he just didn't say. Because obviously, every person that the person that sponsors that show is probably the people that he's not allowed to talk about as well. So it's not like that the people in that show, Michael Strahan and them, wouldn't have been like, "Hey, can you clear the air on this so people won't have the hesitancy about this?" They certainly may have pushed towards that. And he still didn't say, "Let me put you at ease a little bit." Mm-hmm. I appreciate that he didn't do that. He's not the only person that's starting to talk up, whether on purpose or not, about something. There's another fella at the World Series of Poker that got caught on a hot mic having a conversation with another one of the poker players. It's a very interesting conversation, guys. Listen to this.
I wish I would have never got the vaccine.
What's that?
I wish I never would have got the vaccine.
I never did.
I've been having chest pain ever since I had that thing.
Really?
Yeah.
You're still having it?
Yeah, from time to time. And they're saying that you get hardens the arteries. And
Yeah.
So I need to go get it checked out. But ever since, dude, it's just
That's horrible.
it's been weird.
I held out until like a month ago, not even a month ago.
Oh, is that right? Why did you decide to get it then
So
also?
I wanted to come play the World Series.
Oh, they didn't have that guideline this right now.
Pardon me?
They didn't have that.
As a foreigner, you can't get into U.S.
Brian Kim also sent to the rail earlier.
Yeah, so he just said, as a foreigner, I couldn't come into the States without getting it.
Right.
So he was like, they didn't have the guideline that you had to get it into the World Series of Poker anymore. Notice they removed it. This dude's complaining about chest pain. Now, it could be entirely unrelated to the okay, everybody out there that wants to strike this account because of shit like this.
You're gonna have to
I'm not allowed to say that, so I'm not going to say that. But this guy certainly seems to have issues ever since he got that. Probably didn't have it before based on what he's saying.
I mean, it's undeniable. It is undeniable. Look at the amount of celebrities, and when I say celebrities, I put higher tiered athletes in there, even if we don't know them on a regular basis, like a LeBron or a Tom Brady or whatever. But still, that makes the news because of their notoriety in their particular area of expertise or
Right.
their local area. So the local news makes it, and then we see it on independent news because you're not going to get it on mainstream. This is a staggering number of people literally falling out, dead, many of them.
Yeah.
Falling out, and nobody's in the government is concerned. Nothing. They went crazy for but now what? These people are young and dropping dead. These are athletes. Now imagine how many regular people are dropping like flies.
Right. These are people that have cameras on them that are supposed to be showing up to things. And when they don't, 150 people get upset and they go, what happened? Right. Imagine the random person that's just
not in shape too, like athletes.
Right. Not in shape, been eating bad for a long time, already got some other issues going on, got some clotting in other kind of ways. And then all of a sudden they get this little thing. But you know what?
Well, did you notice something? Oh, sorry.
We don't have to talk about just the athletes that we know of. We're also hearing stuff from parents. Of their children.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Why don't you bring this up, Tina?
Yeah,
this one's heavy, man.
This is heavy.
This is just alleged, everybody. We're not saying anything about anything, but we are going to voice other people's opinions.
Morning.
Good morning.
My son played hockey. His name is Sean Hartman since he was 8 years old, and he took a year off for COVID, and he got extremely bored sitting in his bedroom. He decided to go back to hockey this year, and to do that, he had to have a mission to play hockey. He got his first shot of Pfizer on August 25th, went to the hospital on August 29th with a bad reaction. He got sent home with only a prescription for Advil. He had a rash all over his face and brown circles around his eyes. They sent him home, and on the morning of September 27th, his mother found him dead on the floor beside his bed. And all he wanted to do was play hockey. So I'm just wondering really how safe this is and why no deaths are being reported. You're talking about numbers and ICUs, but nobody ever talks about deaths. And it is happening more than anyone knows. And it's just being denied and silenced. And I have a Twitter page called Answers for Sean, which has 7,500 followers, who are all wondering the same thing as me. What happened to my son? He had an autopsy done in Toronto. That came back, cause of death unascertained, which only 2% of deaths have that conclusion. The only thing they found was a slightly enlarged heart. So I questioned the coroner, well, is that not caused from the vaccine causing myocarditis? They're saying there was no myocarditis. I sent his autopsy report to a second well-known pathologist in Canada who wants to remain anonymous for fear of losing his job. He told me the vaccine did kill my son. I don't know who I can believe anymore.
Well,
could you, I mean, look, we're not saying that it definitely is the fact, okay? But could you imagine look, if we want to talk about, did I send you the excess deaths for Twitter right now? Let me find it. Let me find it. I mean, this is sobering stuff, man. This is sobering stuff because you're talking about kids now. This isn't like a couple athletes that somebody used to know. It's not a 70-year-old person. It's not DMX who died early. It's not something like this. Is from Our World in Data.
So what is Our World?
It's a reliable source of data. They're basically trying to tackle the world's biggest problems. Pull this image up, can you?
Yeah, I got it up.
Australia, 9% excess deaths they can't explain. Denmark, 30%. England, 20. France, 25. Germany, 43% excess deaths. Hungary, 11. Ireland, 20. Netherlands, 37. Norway, 28. New Zealand, 17. Poland, 21. Scotland, 13. South Korea, 18. Switzerland, 12. Taiwan, 25. And the U.S., 12.
Did you hear
excess deaths that they don't really know what it's coming from yet?
With Taiwan and the 25%, that just made me remember. Did you hear about the Taiwanese princess? She's
Thailand.
in a coma. Is it Thailand?
Thailand.
I'm sorry. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
The
My bad.
Thailand princess is in a coma. We don't know if that's from a bacterial infection that she had, is what they're saying, and what the fact checkers are saying.
No, it's not.
They said factually it's not from that?
Nope.
Okay, did they say what it's coming from? Because I know they had the doctor Serbia Baikok or whatever his name is. He was called there by the king of Thailand.
Yes.
He said, I want you to come tell me what's going on. And he told them that it may have been from the jab.
Yes.
We're not saying that it was from the jab. He said that to the king and people that are next to the king in their governmental roles in that country, and they said that they would be potentially starting to break contracts with people if what this doctor is saying was true. I don't know that it is. I can't prove that it was, but he did go to Thailand, and he was brought to Thailand because of the king asking him to be, and it was about his daughter's health. And then he said on his show or on a Zoom call that I watched, he said this. So I'm not saying that it's true. I'm just saying that he says that all of this happened and that he told the king it was because of the jab.
Yes.
So I don't know what to do with that.
They're demanding something from Pfizer. I don't know exactly what they're demanding, something, and so that they also are demanding the WHO like do something official with Pfizer. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, now you're getting like monarchs and leaders involved. Like now we're talking, now they feel it. Now when the elites feel it, here we go. You know, and I hate to say it, so I hate to say it like this, but this is how I think a lot of people might feel, is that I'm actually kind of glad that something happened to an elite person. I hate saying it like that because that's
nobody wants
kid.
anything to ever happen to anybody. But at the same time, if the eyeballs of the world are only allowed to pay attention to the rich and famous and powerful, well then hopefully the common plight of humanity hits them sometimes so that everybody can see the rich and the famous and the powerful, the elites go through something, and then they try to change that from the inside, you know? And look, speaking of which, Dr. Drew. Right? Dr. Drew originally was a person who was like dismissive of.
What did he say exactly? I know he was very like
I don't think
you're conspiracy theorists and la la la.
Well, there was a lot of people telling him that there could be issues with the jab related to menstrual issues and reproductive issues or whatever, and he was like, yeah, that women's menstrual issues fluctuate so frequently, I might as well not even care about this. Basically, it's something like that.
Okay.
And I want you guys to see what Dr. Drew himself put out just in the last few days. I'm not going to give my opinion on this. I'm just going to let you guys watch what this man has to say.
And I want to start with a very sincere apology. I want to, as effusively as I can, fall on my sword. And I want to explain why and what and frame it. So sit back and enjoy this if you like this kind of thing. So we now know that we have a very significant Pfizer executive on the record saying that they knew about these menstrual irregularities being a very serious concern. I have now seen pathological specimens that show excess spike protein in the ovaries, in the adrenal gland. The executive in the Project Veritas case pointed out that he thought maybe it had something to do with the hypothalamic pituitary axis, which is a very common it's a very delicate cycling system, a neuroendocrine system that women have that can get easily set off. But we now know some of the possible mechanisms, not just the ovaries, but also there could be, we've seen excess spike protein now in the myelin and actually in the neuronal cell walls. So it could actually be direct neuronal effects. And we also know that spike protein is affecting plasminogen activator inhibitor by inhibiting that inhibitor and causing problems with bleeding and clotting. And we, of course, also know now that this spike protein is very much a part of what we call an endotheliitis, or a lining of the artery problem that could easily be manifest in the uterine wall and the uterine lining. So there's at least 5 mechanisms I could think of that could be causing this that are of serious concern. And I am getting emotional when I want to say this. When Naomi brought this up, the kindest thing I can say is I was dismissive. I was quietly dismissive of what she was bringing up because I had seen menstrual irregularities caused by everything in my career. And I thought, it's just another thing. It's just another thing. I was wrong. I apologize. I got it. I don't know whether we're going to find out exactly what's going on, but I was as wrong as I could be. And the one thing that this pandemic has taught me, well, one of the many things, I've learned a lot of things that I didn't want to know, but the one thing that I did want to know is hubris and certainty is the enemy. You can't be certain about a lot, and don't discount anything until we know for sure what the data is.
Boom.
We're at the stage now where There's sort of general agreement that something significant is going on. There's multiple candidate mechanisms. And by the way, COVID could be a culprit in this as well, right? I mean, we don't know because they haven't asked the questions. They have to really, it's looking like, based on Dr. Cole's work, who had all the pathology specimens, it really looks like the vaccine spike because they're not finding the nucleocapsid protein in with the spike protein in all these deposits in the ovaries and the adrenal glands, things like that. So it looks like something that is only delivering a spike, which is, of course, the vaccine.
So he almost backtracked there, and then he fully went into it, and he goes, it might be cause for, but we're not finding the COVID piece issue inside of these clots and stuff. He's like, we're finding the thing that came from the spike, which is the thing, whatever. So
you know what pissed me off I just had a moment of rage that just came up and almost I almost said something, but I don't want to interrupt the video. Him sitting here saying, oh, yeah, we don't know. We got to ask the questions. We're not allowed to ask any questions.
We can't even film this on YouTube without getting a strike on our account unless I say allegedly every 5 seconds, dude.
Jab, this.
Yeah, I have to say, I have to speak in a whole different language in order for us to be able to have this conversation. If people are dying from things, you should be able to talk about it, dude.
Or ask a damn question. You're not allowed to ask that. You're ostracized by everyone. And some of these people in the medical community these days have really been pissing me off. You see this godlike air that they have about them these days? Especially when it comes to this. Especially when it came to the jab on their TikTok and their
You mean
Twitter.
like Fauci and stuff, or who are you referring to?
Medical workers that deal on the floor with patients, nurses, doctors that had TikTok accounts and Twitter and stuff like that, basically calling you idiot.
Nurses that are like TikTokers that are like, these people think that they know everything. Dumb. These dumb hicks.
Yes.
And it's like, well, guess who doesn't have myocarditis today?
Right, exactly. And you weren't even allowed to ask the damn question without them looking at you and mocking you like you were a friggin' idiot. It's unacceptable, and that is 100% unacceptable coming from healthcare workers who are supposed to be compassionate to people who don't, like laymen who don't know the medical stuff, who are scared, they're concerned for their child. Not feeling well. When you already feel like crap, all your emotions are amplified 10 times. But the lack of compassion and empathy or anything for the patients and people that were scared and asking questions, simply asking questions. The behavior and what came out of the mouths of many of these healthcare workers, it was absolutely unacceptable.
Or the full dismissal and like coercing people into doing things. Like there's been a lot of doctors and nurses that'll be like, take a child from their brand new mother and go and them with stuff in the other room because they think they're doing it for their good, or whatever, because they think they're doing what's right. They're giving them under the table jabs or whatever to like help, because they think they're helping people because they're just a slave of the machine and doesn't think for themselves. And if you haven't learned anything yet about this entire pandemic and through this whole nonsense, you need to realize you have to think for yourself. If you have an equally credentialed medical expert saying X and an equally medically credentialed expert saying Y, you have to think for yourself. Nobody's thinking for you anymore, and it is dangerous to not be thinking for yourself because they will put you in a camp, dude, before too long.
Right. And look, and Jeff brought up a good point here. They literally refused to admit or treat unvaxxed patients and would mock and deride them. I agree. That's what they did too. Remember, they were refusing to give people needed heart transplants.
Remember Jimmy Kimmel saying, Jimmy Kimmel, he said that joke. He was like, oh, you're vaccinated, you're trying to do what you should do. Come on in, we'll take care of you. Oh, you drank horse gook. Okay, well, I hope breathe easy, buddy. He talks about letting the guy die instead of going into the hospital, and the crowd starts clapping and laughing. Just today, I saw an Australian woman is getting denied a heart transplant because of her vaccination status, and we all know what's happening now. At least we're skeptical of that and go, well, we shouldn't have jumped that gun so fast. And they're still denying transplants to heart patients. What in the hell?
It's insane. It's some sort of
brutal.
weird class. this this weird separate class system, apart from money and economic status and everything, this weird class system now based on this. I just don't understand.
Or your opinion of the
jab. Or your opinion,
right? Oh, you're in the class that doesn't trust.
Right.
You're in the idiot class that doesn't trust. Trust who? Trust who? The people who did the Tuskegee experiment, you dipshit? Well, who do you want me to trust?
Exactly.
The people that'll take your shit, the people that you complain, the cops that are on the street. Who do you think is the hand of the people that you're telling us to trust so blindly, you dumbass? It's the people that you want to defund in your other speeches, but you're too dumb to put two and two together and go, oh, maybe all of the authority might be questionable, not just the people that are in direct contact with me on the street that pull me over. Maybe cops aren't the only ones that are bad. Maybe the idiots that set the precedent for the way cops can interact with you. Yeah. The whole thing, dude, the whole thing needs to be flushed down the toilet and started over, because at this stage there is too much, number one, taxes. There is too much. The fact that we have sent $100 billion to Ukraine is absolutely insane. I don't think we spent that much on the entire Afghanistan war. We were mad because we left $80 billion worth of shit there. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't leave $80 billion worth of stuff. It costed $80 billion worth of stuff for us to be there for that. We've sent $100 billion to Ukraine. That's what's happened.
Oh, and but don't worry. Those weapons are going to be used against us, because we traded a WNBA player for the Merchant of Death, who is one of the best arms dealers. Say what you will. He was good at what he did. That's why we threw him in jail. And you traded that for a WNBA player who hates this country and who was irresponsible and didn't think she was going to get caught. That's what she did. Okay? And now those weapons are going to be used against us in whatever it is that come in our future. Hopefully that path isn't going to go where we are feeling it's going to go.
Right. Hopefully not.
Some miracle maybe, but
it definitely feels like it is.
It's probably going to go.
Especially after Biden, after that story came out, whether it's true or not, I cannot confirm, but the specificity is it's so specific enough to say that Tucker Carlson says that it is the truth. On live TV, Tucker Carlson said that it is the truth that Biden was responsible for the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up, and he has a very specific explanation for it. And it's not just him; it's a award-winning Pulitzer Prize or reporter, something like that wrote everything down, went to the place where it was being done or whatever, gave a full explanation of what day they did it, how they did it, who they did it with, the whole 9 yards. It was like, either way, it was enough for a couple days ago. Russia decided to put ships in the water that got nukes on them now. So I don't know what to do about that. And we've been shooting shit down for like 2 weeks now that nobody wants to talk about.
We're a threat. We are a threat to
and it's not even
them.
us.
I don't blame them.
It's not even. This isn't even a cool. Imagine if you had to go to war. Imagine like if we went to war with China, because they literally have 3 million people approximately. In case YouTube wants to strike me for giving the wrong number, right? But there's like 3 million Uyghur Muslims right now in concentration camps, and they are harvesting their organs to sell, and they have castrated the women. If we went to war about stopping something like that, I would be like, cool. Okay. What are we going to war about now? So Zelensky's fake ass, he's an actor.
I know, I saw.
Can be with friggin' dancer. Yes, like what the hell? How are we believing this guy is a whatever? You know, it's like this is such a joke, and we're going to war for this. Are you kidding me? Anybody who's a draft dodger for something like this, what do you want me to say, bro? Like, are you kidding? I would rather be I'm in Mexico right now than even be potential to have to go fight this absolute bullshit war for something that has nothing to do with what they say. By the way, I also don't want to be on Ukraine sides because I don't like Nazis, and they've got Nazi battalions. They tout it proudly that they do. I've seen so many images of the same exact group, the Azog or Agog, whatever the hell they're called, and they're just proud Nazis. And you're like,
I know.
I thought Nazis were supposed to be evil, everybody.
No.
Why are we just letting this shit pass? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it never mattered. It was never about the actual fake moral system that they try to enforce on you to wipe your legs out. It's about control. And like you said, and I said, what was the phrase that James Lindsay said? What's the the best way to call it's not the woke culture, but he's like, you call something racist until you control it. He said, whatever's happening,
something like that,
that's basically the goal of what's been going on. They're destroying masculine men.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's
so
working.
Well.
Like here we are in America, and they're just destroying so much of our strength right now. I don't know if it's intentional or not. I can't say, but all of a sudden we're having egg shortages. We can't afford freaking milk. We can't afford anything. Imagine if you're, like when Jordan Peterson talks about this, like the plans that they have, if they're going to accomplish them, they are at the sacrifice of the poor. You can't just raise energy prices, because that means the poor and them suffer. Yep. So you're willing to let the poor and other people suffer as long as it achieves some goal in your mind of the future. So you're already putting yourself above the poor to be able to say they get to suffer for my goal and ambition that I have.
So that tree, that redwood tree, is as long as I, hug that tree and I don't care that those 4 families or whatever. Like,
right. Oh, gas is $7 a gallon and you couldn't get to work. So you had to go on welfare, and then you have to take the like they do in Brazil now in order to get the welfare.
The
right. Oh, okay. Well, that's too bad for you. Oh my God. You may have come down with this afterwards. Well, I don't think it's from that. And there's actually no proof. Oh, because all the people that are making you do it won't let there be any proof. We can't even talk about it here.
Nope. No questions, as we mentioned
Daddy's
before.
Fussy tonight.
No, it really did piss me off, like, for that second, like, just thinking about it, because the way, how he said that, and even I'm glad he apologized. This is Dr. Drew we're talking about. I'm glad he apologized, but the way he said that, like, oh, we still have to ask questions. It's like, we can't even effing ask them. It's
right,
so
we're not allowed.
Ridiculous. And going back to the Zelensky thing, did you see what happened? What was said, there was a back and forth that basically happened, I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I don't know. But Russia said basically that if you take this, this is our land, do whatever else you want. We don't really want to fight this war, but we are keeping this land. Okay? And if you do that, if you take it from us, if you use weapons and take this land back or something like that, we are going to use nukes. They said definitively. This has definitively been said now.
What?
We are going to use nukes. So guess what? Zelensky came out and said, I am encouraging our allies, Poland and the United States, if he uses nuclear weapons to utilize their nuclear force as well. Something to that effect. I'll have to find the clip. I'll send it to you. But yes, it is basically...
For what? Who gives a shit about Ukraine, dude?
This guy is an ex-stripper telling us to get into nuclear war. What the F is... What is happening? What is happening? I'm picturing him. I'm looking at his face, and all I can see is those leather and those assless chaps that he was wearing. And he's sitting... But he's sitting here. That is... What are we talking about, man?
Yeah, what are we talking about? The destruction of the planet, you dipshits? Like... I'm fired up tonight about this stuff, man, because this is so unjust. It's so unjust. And if this was happening in any other setting besides something that was pre-orchestrated to destroy the world so that they can build it back in the fashion that they deem is appropriate, they have to redistribute the power some kind of way, because right now, regular citizens of the world have way too much authority, and they have to fix that. And the only way to fix that is to bring the whole damn thing down so nobody can do anything about anything. And then after it's all ashes, they can rebuild what they wanted originally. And they're fine with that. They think there's too many of us anyway.
No, they do. Yeah. They want us in that line city like in Saudi Arabia.
15-minute cities. You know, Alberta.
15-minute cities.
15-minute cities. So Alberta, so UK, London, I think is where it's at, has a 15-minute city where you get fined if you go outside of the 15-minute city to some degree. It's 70 pounds, I think is what it is in one place if you're in the 15-minute city. So Alberta said they're separating the city of Alberta or whatever, the province of Alberta, whatever the hell it is. I watched the guy give the speech on it. He's the city planner. That's his job, is he basically does the planning.
Zoning.
Yeah, well, no, he does. He's a city planner. That's his actual job, I guess.
Right.
And so he was talking about why they're doing it. And he's like, well, we're going to be creating 15-minute cities. We're making 15-minute cities.
What does that mean? What is a 15-minute city?
Everything is within 15 minutes. So this is your pharmacy. This is your Best Buy. This is your 2 grocery stores you can pick from. This is your whatever. Oh, you want to leave and go to one of the other ones? Well, we don't have any plans right now for that to be a problem, but it is going to be.
Why do you need to go over there?
Why would you need that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot more carbon footprint than you really want to do, because I know they only allow you so much a year. You know, MasterCard put that out. I did see that. You saw that Chris Sky video where he's talking about MasterCard, and they're basically
looked at the thing.
Yeah, so like one flight from here to Europe is like 25% of the carbon you're allowed to use for the year. And it's just like they're trying to make it so that you have an 800% reduction in the amount of carbon that you're using currently. And do you think they're not going to enforce this? Do you think that they're not going to find some? Look what they did to the unvaccinated. Remember when everybody told us that, like, you're not going to be treated any different? What are you, crazy or a conspiracy theorist?
It's just your choice.
And then you tried to go back to your job and they were like, oh, it looks like our policy states that you haven't whatever. Well, you just can't do this. And then in China, they're just showing us what it looks like when all those citizens in China had the vaccine passport, and the bank took their money and they like rallied together in their little city and they were like, let's go to the bank. So the Chinese government, who was obviously aware of what they were trying to do because it listens to everything, I guess, was like, oh, they're all trying to go, turn off their vaccine passports, turn them from green to red. They all went to the train. They scanned the thing and it was like, it's not working. And they were like, what's happening? Oh, it turned you red. You couldn't go anywhere. That is the goal. And if you don't think so, you aren't paying attention yet. So what can you do to stop it? The most important thing right now, I really believe, is becoming self-sufficient and becoming loud about this. The louder that you are, the better. This is not the time to be timid. This is not the time to be in
silent majority.
Yeah, it's not time to be the silent majority. It's time to be the most obnoxious sons of guns in the world about how dangerous this shit is. Because let me say, a nuke is not going to decipher whether or not you had the right ideology. If we get into this nonsense, it's not going to be good, dude. It's just not going to be good. And do you really trust Biden to defend us from stuff like that? Hell no. Absolutely. It's almost like, what do you mean? It's an intentional gate opening. It's like who needs a Trojan horse? Just let them in, you know? And it's like, that's like, I feel like we're so close to that. Like, we as a people are going to have to figure out so much. And dude, 2024 is going to be freaking nuts. Next year is going to be nuts because
already starting with
who knows stuff. Who knows? I don't even care. Like that, like at this point, of course they're going to keep trying. But like, if people are still idiots, but it's like,
they're still going for it and still effing problem. They're burning down cities. So we instead of putting our energy into what you're talking about, which I 100% agree, like, no, this is a problem. We need to put our attention on this.
It's the problem, right?
Right. No, what are they doing? We have to worry about our own people burning down our own cities.
Right.
Over these race riots that are bolstered by misleading statements and omissions, and you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And stuff that has nothing to do with race.
It's just distraction and waste of time to get the people's energy on dumb stuff. And I think the government is assisting in the weakening of the entire fabric of our society so that we can be taken somewhere else easily. You know, that's why there's no masculine men. That's why they don't filter estrogen in the water like they should. Speaking of them making everybody weak with their policies and their plans, I want you guys to watch this video about Ohio, this train derailment that's happened recently.
Massive train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is they burn off in East Palestine. This is not storm clouds. Look at it! I hope it is. This is horrible! I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report about what people need to know.
Officials are claiming that the air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside. And one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
Look at all these crows. I'm not kidding.
This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
If you have not evacuated, please leave the area.
Brutal.
So, the train derailment. And we have some more, right? There's now one.
Houston,
South Carolina.
Some other place that I can't remember.
Is there another one? So, fourth one? Good Lord. So, remember when all the railroad companies had the strikes and everything?
Where they were thinking about striking, and it was like, if they do, it's shut down forever.
Well, yeah, and there was a good reason for that, because railroad employees are being overworked and underpaid, and also not even allowed to take like time off, time that they've earned, and they also are to cut the costs. And the government is involved in this, and the unions, the workers don't even, they quote unquote get a say. Let me put it that way.
Right, but really it's unions. Right.
Yes,
the union is really deciding how the contracts go.
Exactly. And that's basically what we're talking about. While the people doing the work, doing the hard work, making these companies the money, and the unions their money and everything like that, are the ones that suffer, because it's only a haggling between these two up here, government and unions, and about the money and keeping everything going so they can just make more money. And how can we save more and everything, because we don't feel like paying that. Well, they're taking down the number of, I think, conductors and necessary people and engineers that you're supposed to have on some of these trains carrying this hazardous material as well. They've cut staffing to save the money and be able to give what they did was they basically split it in a sense that instead of giving more money, what they did is like, oh, we'll still be able to keep our bottom line if we take out more people types of things. That's what they've been doing. And also, like, no more new hiring. You're going to work your mandatory overtime, that sort of thing. And you only get like 2 days off a year. It's something crazy. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah. So isn't that interesting that they came to an agreement? And I think that agreement had included cutting staffing, cutting safety measures, and not updating things. There's safety things that take longer. Obviously, time is money. There's a lot of safety steps and safety things like having enough people on. That's being ignored. Also, working these guys like 14 hours back to back to back to back. A person can become very unsafe after a certain amount of hours working. And they're just doing it to save the money.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I look at that, and then the FAA thing where they changed the rules for EKGs or whatever, where they were allowed for a variance that was never there before from the FAA commissioner or whatever the heck, the health commissioner for the FAA. They were like, because all of the heart monitoring diagnoses and diagnostic tests that we do for our pilots before we allow them to fly keep failing our tests now for some reason we can't explain. We need to change the expectations of our tests so that we don't have to lose so many pilots because they know they don't fit the expectations anymore for a fit pilot. And so now what's interesting is that they were always supposed to be only moving in the direction of what's safest for the passengers. And this is a clear example of how they did not do that. And so, yeah, I'm looking at all these things, and the Ohio, this thing happening, I believe I read it affects 30 million people's water supply. Woo. It's basically 10% of the population. But not only that, all of the vegetables and everything that come from there goes to your door from one of the restaurants that you probably eat at some point. You know, the chickens from there, the eggs from there, all the different stuff that comes from there, right, is going to be contaminated, and it's going to be going out because the water's contaminated. It already is, you know, and it's going out to the country, you know, eventually. And it's hard not to believe so many of these little things are not intentional weakening of our country so that it can be taken over easier, because they are in lockstep. These people that are demanding globalism cannot have a strong America, because if there is a strong United States, there is a strong resistance, because we're the largest army in the history of the world that is armed. We are. And so the only thing to do with people like that is to weaken them. And it just seems like they're trying to do that, man. I don't have anything better to say. That just seems like what's happening.
Yeah, I think there's people like way up at the top, like you said, intentionally making that happen. But I think there are complete morons in between, and that would be our government people and our leaders at many different levels that actually do truly believe this social justice bullcrap that is of like, oh no, we need to, like our transportation secretary, more worried about race than the safety of the railroads and stuff like that. Listen to
Pete
what
Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg said.
Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg. I was talking about instead of...
And this was after this event happened, everybody, which they're calling Chernobyl, by the way. They're saying this is as bad as Chernobyl. Now, I don't know who they is, and I don't know what they mean by as bad, but you get what I'm saying.
Right. He's our transportation secretary. This should be on the top, as they say, top of mind.
Right, it should be top of mind. We've been very clear. We've actually been very clear. I know we've spoken about this before. We're very clear.
Peter? We've been very clear.
Yes, we were clear. We were clear. Biden has been clear. The White House has been clear about that.
I want to make this very clear because we've been clear. I'm going to direct you to the Department of Justice about this, and they've been very clear with what you're saying is just not true. So I don't even know. We're not going to entertain that.
Oh,
Sorry, we're mocking the press secretary for the president because she's terrible at her job, number one. She must have been a diversity hire. Must have been.
Come on, she was definitely a diversity hire.
Yeah.
She had the right. I think it was more for the sexuality as well, because she's, she's lesbian. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Notice how I don't even care about that.
Right. Okay, ready?
Yep.
To work with your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community. We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level.
Meanwhile, people are literally, pets are just dying.
Super Bowl 57 is the blackest.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 57 is the blackest. Like, that's the other thing, too. They were talking about the Super Bowl. They were like, Shannon Sharp and all them were talking about it. They were like, oh, cool. 2 black quarterbacks going against each other. And it's like, dude.
There was someone.
Who cares?
Right.
We've thought black people are better at sports in literally every category for the last, I don't know, however long. I don't even remember rooting for a white guy in the NBA in the last like 15. Okay, Dirk Nowitzki. He's the only guy I can think of. I literally cannot think of another white dude. Jason Kidd from like 20 years ago.
I can only think of Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird from way back in the day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so like who is fighting? Like, is there like a group of people that me and Tina, who are conservative and on the right, that we've never met, that's like trying to keep black, professional sports athletes down? Like, who? Like, I've never met them.
Do well, and we want to watch you. We want to give you the money. We want you to
go kick ass in the Olympics for us. Let's go. Like, nobody cares about this shit.
I want you to be good. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you are.
Don't care.
No, it's absolutely infuriating. And there was he's a Hall of Famer. I don't remember his name. Came out and had said, the news had asked him, an anchor had said, and there's 2 black quarterbacks for this Super Bowl. And basically what do you have to say about that? He's like, and he's a black man himself, said that, I would just like to talk about it's a good quarterback that's going to win, not a black quarterback. Like,
right, we
it's
can
a
stop
good
that.
football.
Yeah, he's just a quarterback.
Ridiculous. The actor Idris Elba came out and said the same thing.
Oh, he did too, huh?
He said, I don't want to be known as the first black something. I want to be known as the first Idris who's done something.
Right. Well, duh. Why would you want to? Because they lower the bar. That's the point of diversity hiring. Like, imagine if you, like in Harvard, there's Asians that are suing Harvard for racism because they make it harder for Asians to get in and they make it easier for black people to get in.
Good.
It's just the facts. And it's like, Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that? What's going to happen is you're going to collectively destroy the strength of whatever thing you are attempting to credential. You know what I mean? Because you had to, like, Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. She's just supposed to know which thing weighs heavier.
Right, what makes sense. Not facts.
Yeah, and like I hated that the government even had an all-women flyover for the Super Bowl. Like, who gives a shit? The question is could they back up the jets into their bays without hitting them?
Nope. No.
There's the evil white male you guys think is there, but it was a joke, you nerds. Off.
No, I agree 100%. And the Navy actually it came out and said that they quietly did that for some reason. They wasn't supposed to be like that originally. They quietly did that. Yeah. It's
I know, but what do you mean by quietly?
Here, I'll bring up
because it was pretty
article.
out loud for the last week or so. They've been talking about it. Do you mean the Navy secretly did that because it would have been frowned upon?
Navy confirms it made some changes to Super Bowl flyover, quietly shifting to all female pilot team. U.S. Navy says its intent was to always maximize the participation of our women naval aviators in the flyover. But it wasn't originally like that. So it's like, why didn't you just say that plan from the beginning? It's the sneakiness that I'm perplexed by.
Cool. How many chicks are in the Blue Angels?
I actually don't know, and I hope none. Sorry, we're terrible drivers.
I guess you're allowed to say that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, I am too. I identify as a chick for a second, YouTube. Yeah, I hope none of us females are flying the Blue Angels.
I said you, us females.
Yeah, okay, now I'm switching back to a male. There it is. Ready? Okay, male. It's crazy.
That was good.
Wow.
I like that transition.
This is what life feels like in such a privileged body.
But I mean, how crappy is that we're sitting here, we're talking about this, like, I don't care. Fly the plane well. The problem is that you're going to put these females in a precarious position where they won't be able to.
I was looking at their formation when they flew over, if I'm honest. Hang on. Now I'm a female. I was looking at their situation as they flow over, and I was like, I wonder if it's not even. I was like, I wonder if it's like one of them was like, wait up, guys, or something. I was like trying to see, but there was only one camera angle on it, and I was like, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell us if us girls did a good enough job or not. Now I'm a guy again. So anyway.
Oh gosh, but yeah, and going back to
By the way, YouTube, if you argue with me about my changing of genders just now, I'll be suing you.
I felt that actually from here. No, it was good.
Well, I don't like bigotry.
I agree. But anyway, going back to it, but all this distraction over that, whether you're white or black, whether you have a vag or don't, like, I'm so tired of it's so low level. We're not based on merit anymore. We're not talking about how complex we are as human beings and blah, blah. It's literally now we're just picked on where you like to put your junk. Do you want to put your junk in someone that's like you? Okay, cool. That makes you better. Skin color and
it's a caste system. It is the new caste system.
Yes.
Are you a disabled, trans, black, abused, mixed with a Native American? Because, that is the top of the food chain. Wow. Yes. You actually need to be the president.
That would be the first Blue Angel.
That would be the first Blue Angel, right? And yeah.
And they would totally consider it.
Right. They would be like, well, this person obviously needs to be leading our pack. And you know what? Why don't we let them sing a national anthem to whatever country they want right before we take off? Like, the only place that this can exist, this amount of woke allowance of weakness can exist, is in the United States of America, Western civilization mindset, Denmark, Norway, these types of places. Yes. Because everywhere else where there's any kind of need to depend on people to do people shit, like there's not just massive amounts of like technology helping you be strong in these weird ways, we would be like, yeah, that person's not allowed on the ice because I don't, that's what are you doing? You can't even pick up sticks to help us make a fire. Move. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the way it is. And the thing is if everybody keeps on the left, keep shitting on American culture the way that they have for the last however long, if they keep shooting the men and the people and the ideology that made this country great and allowed the weakest amongst us to have a microphone, which is basically what we've done. That's the only reason they get to talk, right? If they keep shooting us in the back, the people that will take us over, which will either be China or Russia, will not give a rip about you and about your feelings and about how you felt. They will put you in the social credit source system, and then they're going to look at your browser history and decide whether you're a degenerate or not. And then you aren't getting anything. Nothing. Oh, you've dressed up like a puppy before to have intercourse? Yeah. We just take your organs most of the time.
No,
join the Uyghur Muslims.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen. That's what these people don't understand. Under a socialistic, communistic type of regime, that you're considered flawed. You're considered no good.
Right. You're a waste of resources compared to another person who might thrive in your place. Since everybody can only have 3 kids, or everybody can only have 2 kids, you're taking up food.
Right.
And the interesting thing about this, I've been reading this book called The Soul of America. It's basically the book that made the book that made your world, and it talks about how the biblical ideology is the thing that separates a lot of different countries. And when we're talking about this, how they just treat you like you're a number and like you're just an animal, like this is a very common thing in other countries because they don't believe in the inherent value of the human soul. They don't believe that. They think they think something different.
It's a collective thing.
Right. It's a collective thing. You're not special. You're not specially unique. You're not an individual, even if there's no such thing as a creator. So at this point, you're just, the word is a rat is a pig is a dog is a boy. It's all the same. You're all the same. Everything's the same. Caste system, are you, you get to be born a slug or you get to be born a person, doesn't matter. It's all the same.
And if you're a waste, we have to get rid of you because you'd be a weight on everyone else. And that's how they feel about those kinds of people. Like, it's really funny to me when I see young gay people with Che Guevara shirts on and things. He hated gays. He hated them with a passion. And it's just interesting when I see young gay people with Che shirts on because they think
because they know nothing.
Right. And they want the communism. It's like, if you want that, you're the first to go. I'm just letting you know.
You helped stir it and destroy it so that it became communism. And then since you were an agitator, you think you're going to be allowed to keep your megaphone.
No.
But the thing that allowed you to buy the megaphone was the alpha males that you thought were so toxic that were here in the U.S. Sorry, everybody. It's the truth. Well, Super Bowl.
So, Super Bowl, we had talked about that earlier. Rihanna.
Super Bowl.
Oh, do an announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming at you first today, the Kansas City Chiefs. Something Rihanna's in the Illuminati.
That was going to be good. Okay, ready? So.
What was going to be good?
Oh, if you were going to do a whole presentation.
Oh,
like a whole thing. Yeah, like I was ready for the whole thing. I was ready.
Yeah, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have tried a little more.
We'll do it next time.
Next time.
Okay. All right.
Maybe we'll do it right now. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right.
Starting on the fourth quarter.
Why is no one talking about this? The sign that she's doing and also the shape of her stage.
A triangle, an eye at the top, full blown.
Why is no one talking?
So I didn't even notice the stage thing, I'll be honest.
I didn't either. In fact, I watched the whole Super Bowl. So I got YouTube TV so I could do the free trial just so I could watch the Super Bowl at my house because I didn't want to go somewhere else. I got to delete it tonight. But, and I didn't see that. I never saw them do a triangle. I never saw her do the hand sign, nothing. They didn't show that part on my TV. So... Interesting, but they had to do it live in some kind of weird way. But it's like, look, like we didn't know.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, they're
I'm just so sick
us.
of these people, dude. It's like, look, all right, we get you guys. You think you run the world? That's fine. There's a king, and because look, clearly what they're doing is they're embracing the satanic stuff. Well, that's fine.
Absolutely.
There's a guy for that. Eventually, according to the Book of Revelations, we call him, and he comes down and some people's heads off. It could get weird, but we don't want it to go there if you guys just slow your fucking roll. But never mind. We'll just let it play out.
Real. They think it's a mockery. They think it's like a game to them. This is a game to them, but I don't know. It's evil enough, and we're seeing things play out in real life that feel very evil, more evil than usual. That it has to. Come on, guys. You may not believe in those kinds of entities or things like that, but there's stuff that's tangibly happening right in front of you.
That's really evil and it's making a lot of people suffer, and all the celebrities seem to agree with all the things that were making people suffer.
More than ever. More than ever. Everything is in turmoil.
Who knows what life's going to look like in 15 years, man? As bad as it is right now, as far as the amount of evil that's allowed to just go. And the, woe to you who call good evil and evil good. That's Isaiah, I think.
What is it?
Woe to you who call good evil and evil good. Well, we're there.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what's happening. It's happening on all levels.
On all levels.
Besides,
abortion
like
is justice.
Right. Or
what?
It's crazy. We're locking up people. They're like, people are criminals. People who are like murdering people, not just like criminals, a little bit of breaking into cars. Murderers are being let free or given deals, and meanwhile, law-abiding citizens who maybe go outside of the law a little bit, like, oh, okay, somebody broke into your house and like your wife and beat the crap out of you and everything, and then you shot him, but he had his back turned a bit and it was just not good enough, so now you murdered him because he had his back turned instead of in front of you. There's like weird rules like that, and that is
look
happening.
At Andrew Tate.
That is, well, that's in Romania. That's what people would argue. No, this stuff is happening here in this country. Law-abiding citizens. It's insane.
Yeah, there was a guy in Texas, right, who shot a person that was an illegal immigrant or whatever, and he was trying to do something. We don't know the whole story, but his GoFundMe got shut down. And I'm not saying Andrew Tate's totally innocent. What I am saying, he's being held in prison right now, and he's not even able to talk to his lawyers. Yeah, there's no charges. And so it's like, that's wrong, no matter what you want to say.
You're so sure that you have no charges. None. Not even one. Not even a parking ticket. Nothing. I'm just saying. But with the whole, letting criminals go and law-abiding citizens are the ones being locked up. In Memphis, there was a 15-year-old or 16-year-old girl that murdered someone, and it was with 2 other people. So the police made a deal with her to basically let her off on probation and an ankle monitor for like 6 months to give up her 2 cohorts and or whatever they're called, accomplices. There we go, 2 accomplices, and they just let her go, no punishment at all. That you murdered. Yes, and 6 months later, she's back in jail again for murder.
Who could have thunk that?
Oh my gosh, and an extensive criminal record even before that as well. Like, I'm not saying, okay, 16 years old, yeah, we're supposed to, talk about how we charge someone, but no time at all, no time, just a few months on an ankle monitor, no time in jail.
I remember that if you were 13 and you did something like that, you'd go to jail.
Right, or
they'd try you as an adult.
Yeah, they're like, you messed up. You're gonna possibly be tried as an adult. So.
Yeah, and then you got all these super liberal district attorneys and stuff like that are basically letting people go without bail and things like that. And it's Soros attorneys that are fun. Anyway, it's being destroyed from the inside out. And 2024 is our last chance to do something. I don't know what we'll do. I don't know how I'll trust it. I don't know whether I should even have faith in that or not. But what I am saying is the one thing that I can do is be awake to it and share and never shut up about the fact that bad stuff is bad, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. We hope you guys have a great night. This is a great show.
This was good.
It was fun. It was fiery. Go check out rossdeboss.com. Get ready for a lot more social media presence from me. I brought a fellow on. His name's Jeff. He's going to be helping a lot with social media production. So get ready for that. And probably going to be upping the amount of shows too soon.
Can I say it?
What?
My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
We have to edit in the little, my name's Jeff thing.
My name's Jeff. But all right, man. Well, God bless everybody. You guys have a good night. Stay in the fight and don't get weary, dude. There is light on the other side. And if you haven't found out yet, maybe you should rent some chickens.
Hi.
All right now.